All right. Hello, YouTube, and thank you for tuning in. Okay, I know it's probably not too many people here. It just got started, but I'm gonna go ahead and get started. If you guys catch the playback, make sure you go ahead and go all the way back to the beginning so you won't miss a thing. Okay. All right. So today we are talking about breaking generational curses. Okay. I was actually scheduled to have a sit down interview with my mother, but as you guys see, what I said on Facebook, there's a plot twist to the story, okay? So, yeah, my mom, she decided not to show up to the interview. And I want to show you guys some things, okay? But before I show you this, I'm going to say this. I don't know if anyone out there ever went through or had any type of therapy, but the first and foremost important thing when it comes to any therapy is most definitely getting to the root of the problem, getting to the root of what caused the issue. So that's what I was actually planning to do on this show, but it didn't go so well. I am going to get off into some text messages that me and my mother shared. But before I show you these messages, let me tell you one quick thing. So Thursday night, it was Thursday, like right at midnight. Thursday, right at midnight. And this was the Thursday before Mother's Day. I got a phone call from my mother, and she was talking and she was asking about one of my grandsons, and she told me that she wanted to take my grandson out to eat, and she wants a relationship with her grandchildren, and she wanna rekindle the relationships with her children. And I said, well, mother, I don't have a tight knit and a tight hold on my children. If they want to talk to you, they are free to do that. I work full time. I work 7 days a week. Both of my boys have their own phones. So if they wanted to talk to their grandmother, they most definitely could. I am not holding them back from talking to her. So I let her know I was just talking to my friend right before she called me, and I said to my friend, a lot of times when women are raising their children, sometimes some mothers, not all, but some mothers can do things that are in selfish ways just to try to make themselves happy. And sometimes single mothers can do really, really, like really bad, crazy things that affect their children while they're trying to chase their happiness, but setting their children happiness to the side. And later on in life, a lot of women who do that end up regretting it. So let's get into, let me share it so you guys can see. I'm gonna go ahead and get off into the text messages that me and my mama had. The only way that I could do this was I posted it to Facebook, but I did put it on lock, so the only person that could see it is me. I did not expose or blast these text messages at all. I have no idea what happened. It's like the whole screen went blank, but whatever anybody trying to do, I rebuke it. This live shall continue, okay? I have no idea what the heck just happened. But let me find the text messages that I was just talking about. So, like I was saying, to get to the root of any problem or any issue, what the heck? I no idea what happened. I have no idea what is going on. But you know what? I'm just going to stop trying to share screen and I'm just going to read the text messages from my phone. I'm just going to read. It could be. It could be Kenya. It could be somebody reporting my video. It possibly could be. But you know what? I'm just going to read the text messages from my phone. So if anything goes on with this YouTube thing, we're just gonna go over to Facebook and complete the live. Okay, so let me get back off into the text messages. Okay, so she was saying that me, her, and my sister should get together and talk as far as the show goes. So she was saying that, hey, what's up, sis? I really do believe somebody is trying to report, but you know what? The devil is a lie, and this live will continue, and this show will go on. Okay. So I really do believe that's what it is. So yeah, she was saying that we need to talk about new beginnings. And she ended up saying for 35 years, we talked about Tim and we talked about this. And I mean, that's all I need to talk about. And this is how we're going to start over again and have new beginnings in our family to come back together. And what I ended up messaging to her after she said that, I said, we're most definitely going to talk about new beginnings, but most definitely you have to realize that Tim is, he actually violated me and he violated my sister. And I believe he actually had an inappropriate relationship with my older brother. So this is one of her ex-husbands. This was back in 91, 92. This is her ex-husband, Tim. And he actually, she was dating him right after her and my father divorced. So what I told her is he has a very big part in why you don't have a relationship with your children. So most definitely we're going to have to talk about that situation. And like I told her she cannot control the narrative on how she hurt her kids. You can't control the narrative on how your children were hurt, and you wanna just move on like nothing's happened, but we can't move forward until we have talked about other things that happened. So I ended up sending her that, and this is what she said back to me after I said that. She said, we have talked and talked. I am going on. And she went on to say, I have relationships with the people that I need relationships with. Basically, she said she don't need a relationship with me or any of my siblings. She don't need a relationship with any of her kids, and she has relationships with who she needs to have a relationship with. And then she said, if that's where you want to stay, I respect that too. And she went on to say, we haven't talked since 2019. And in the beginning, I was hurt very bad because of all that came at me when I was about to die. That was not around the time when she was about to pass. And I'm going to get off into all that when I pull my sister up, because she went through her health scare and her health issues when she was in a coma for a week, and I was the only one on her side. So none of this stuff came on her when she was about to die. It was actually after she was healed and out of the hospital. I'm gonna get off into all that, okay? And she said all this came on her when she was about to die. And then she said, if I was so bad, why did you let me help you raise your children? And that's what my mom said in that text message. So my response to her after she said that, I said, let me pull up everything so I can read everything. It was pretty long. I said, I'm not going to sit up here in the whole interview and talk about Tim. There's plenty of other things that happened that got us to this point where we don't have a relationship together. The Tim situation was just one of them. And then it also said, I also said to her that you are so narcissistic that you refuse to be held accountable and you refuse to be questioned about anything. Anything that you have done, everything that has happened, the things that you have done is a big reason why you don't have a relationship with me or any of my siblings, your children. And I also said a big reason why you helped me raise my children is because you're their grandmother. I was going through for a long time what they would call Stockholm syndrome. I believed in my mother. I love my mother, but she's such a big narcissist. You can't get through to her. There is no rebuilding with a person who refused to be questioned, especially when you have put out so much pain and so much bad memories and hurt to your children, and you refuse to be questioned about it. So that's a big reason why I'm finding my own healing. And from today forward, I'm laying this all down on the altar and I'm moving on with my life. Because a lot of times this is not what I was saying in the text message, but just a side note, a lot of time the people that you think you're gonna be able to find healing from, those are not the people. You got to find healing from within yourself. Because just think, she didn't come on the show. If I was sitting around waiting on healing from my mother, I would never have it. So in that text, I basically said a big reason why you help raise my children is because you're their grandmother. But once I realized and opened my eyes and I started seeing and realizing how toxic you were, that's when I decided to remove myself and remove my children from you. So when I woke up from my Stockholm syndrome, that's that's when I opened up my eyes and I walked away from her. And I ended up saying at the end, yeah, that's when I removed my children from you. And I said, let's see, if you're not open to at least sit down in this interview, I'm fine with that. I will heal myself and I will move on from you, Diane. That's her name. And it says, you have a great life. Don't reach out to me anymore and don't reach out to my son. He don't want to talk to you. So she just sends heart emojis. That's all she did. She just sent heart emojis and that's all. So I sent a link to you, Kenya. You can go ahead and click that link and jump on in. Let me see. I don't know. You can probably check your text messages. I sent one through there. Let me see. I might have to drop. Yeah, you can go ahead and click the link, Kenya. I'm ready to get started with these questions. Okay, there you go. So most definitely, my sister is gonna click the link and she's gonna come on up, and we're gonna get off into some things. There she is. Hey, what's up, sis?
Hey, Katie, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, you sound good and clear. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
I am good. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up. So
No
I
problem.
got off into the text messages. Once we talked, you told me you probably knew she wasn't gonna come on and everything. Well, before I get off into the questions, how did you know she wasn't gonna come?
Because I know her. Katie, like I told you before, that is the reason why I moved on. That's the reason why I moved on in 2018. You know what I'm saying? Because I realized that I was like, what? First of all, when it comes to our children, because that's actually when I went on and got out of the chat on YouTube and called to get on, is when you mentioned the children, when she asked you if she was so bad, why did you let her help raise your children? First of all, I'm going to say on this is speaking from my behalf, my standpoint. When she was, and you know for a fact, Katie, when she was helping me with Israel, he didn't even come like on no everyday basis or anything. It was only when I got called out to go to work, because at the time I was working for the railroad.
Mm,
So she and his dad helped keep him sometimes too. So his dad would keep him and she would keep him. So that meant that she didn't keep him all the time.
mhm.
And I was giving her $450 a month.
Oh wow, to keep her own grandson.
So when she used to bring that up to me, that one year, because me and her was never close, because of the issue with the men that she had around us, like you spoke of before. Yeah, and this is going to circle back to why I knew that she was not going to come. Don't get me wrong, I'm not avoiding. I'm going to answer that question, but let me get around to it.
Oh, most definitely. Take your time.
About, because like I said, I want that's what made me call, is when you mentioned, when she mentioned about why did you allow me to help you raise your children. First of all, we always paid you.
I always paid her too.
You
Even when
never
I
did it
was
for free. And
never
the
did
thing,
it for free. Even when I was not working and was on a fixed income going to hair school, I still paid her $100 a month to
thank
keep her
you.
grandchildren for 4 hours a day when I went to Paul Mitchell.
And that's one reason why I never understood why that was one of her arguing points. Like,
That was
come
one of her
on.
go-to arguing
Right,
points.
like, come on,
Why
man.
you
Like,
letting
we
me
paid
raise your
you.
kids?
Yeah, we paid you. Always did.
We paid you
Anything.
to keep your grandchildren.
When we stayed with her, I mean, Katie, when I tell you I was out of high school just not even a month before I had to start picking up the water bill and paying her every week.
I was helping her with bills since I started working for
I,
JTPA when I was 14.
yeah,
She
you
did
told
help
me.
me with light bills before the age of 18, but once I turned 18, we all got charged $350 a month.
Yes, but now she didn't charge me anything in high school because we had a tumultuous relationship after I had to move in with Granny in the ninth grade when Tim got out of prison.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get there.
Right. But my thing with her, this is the reason why I knew she was not gonna come. And okay, when I first saw your advertisement for it, saying it, and I was like, dang, Katie, like, how did you, first I was thinking to myself, like, how did Katie pull that off? And once I thought more about it, I was like, she ain't coming. I'm gonna tell you this, Katie. First of all, the only no, we'll just put that to the back burner. I'm not gonna even say the only way she'll do. No, I just knew she's too much of a narcissist. She will not do any type of interview or sit down talk where it could perhaps open up some blame that could come back on her. She feel like that apology she gave me when she said, "Oh, girl, forgive me. You know I was just horny." There's the apology. You picked
That's
a
the
man.
apology she gave you for staying with her molester and choosing the molester over her daughter. And her daughter had to go live with our grandmother. God rest her soul. This the same grandmother who she talked about whooped her and there was blood all over the wall.
And I don't believe it.
And
Now
let me
that I think,
get into these questions. Go ahead and finish those, sis.
but what was I saying? The apology. Yes,
The
Katie,
apology.
that's the infamous apology that she's always always mentioning that I'm not going to continue to apologize. I apologize. That's the apology.
That was the
Even
apology.
even during that 1 year time, I only throughout my adulthood, no, throughout my life, I've never been close to that lady. But the one time when I just had a bunch of free time on my hands, when I had got fired from the railroad in July of 2017, I dealt with her for exactly 1 year,
12 months.
12 months. And after that, I haven't dealt with her anymore. I went to therapy. I've had my closure. I've did all the cleansing and healing I needed to do. That's why actually when I volunteered to be on your show to help you heal, because you asked me, you was like, hey,
Yeah.
let me know if you got any questions. I'm like, girl, I don't have no questions for her.
You
I
ain't
don't.
gonna
And I'm
do
not, I don't. I'm just being honest. I love the way things are now. I don't want her nowhere in me and my son. In order to break a generational curse, especially being in a family like ours, and that's a whole nother
Oh, that's a whole nother show.
yeah, so we're not going to talk about that. That's a whole nother show. But in order to really break a cycle from those people, just a lot. First of all, I haven't spoken with anyone on that side. I haven't spoken with her in 6 years, but I haven't spoken with anyone else on that side in 5 years.
Yeah,
Very
as
long
far
time.
as the other side, I haven't spoke to them in 5 years. Well, it's been 4 years for me.
No, well, five for me. And so I they have lived a lot of life and I've lived a lot of life that we don't even know anything about each other anymore. You know what I'm saying?
And then just the gap of, I guess, her being the black sheep or whatever. We never been close to our uncles and aunties and cousins.
No.
As far as
No.
Big Tony, Uncle Freddie, all their kids, we never had any type of relationship with them,
And
and they
and
never
to
really cared about it. And then, like, that's why, sis, you used to say, and I remember our brother Eric used to be like, "Why you don't come to the family functions?" Because I don't feel comfortable. I don't
no,
care who
no, no,
it
no, no,
is.
no. I always understood, Katie. No, I get it. I get it. But my thing is that was the reason why I was easily to walk away. Like peace. Like, okay, dude, don't never put it out nothing about me calling or jocking y'all or anything.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
we
don't care
fell
how
out.
good the food is over there. If I don't
Girl,
feel
look,
comfortable,
girl, how you been think I've been able to control my weight?
okay, I swear.
But you're right. No matter how delicious the food is, because that was really the only loving thing or connection we had with those people. It was easy for me to walk away. But the thing about it, I really, really, really wanted things to be different for Israel. Like Katie, Israel have always showed me that he was different. It was because I raised him different from how I was raised. I raised him with pure love. We didn't have nobody around him, Katie, that did not love him. His dad, his parents ain't in Israel's life. Um, their set of grandparents or nothing. Same thing with mine. The only thing Israel has ever known is he don't have a big family. He do realize that it's just me, his stepdad, his dad, which his dad is in Arkansas and we're in New York now. But I'm saying growing up, because considering that Israel hadn't seen his grandma's side of the family in 5 years and hadn't seen his grandma Diane in 6 years. You know what I'm saying? He don't. Katie, I've told you
And he
that
don't
before.
ask about them.
Katie, I told you that before, and you didn't believe it then. Just like you sound like you don't believe it now. No, Katie.
He do not ask.
And Katie,
Out of sight, out of mind. Out of
once
sight, out of mind.
once I saw that Israel never asked about his sister, he never asked about his grandmother, he never asked about none of them. And our life just moseyed on. And don't get me wrong, it was a little rough for a few months until all that legal stuff was over with and the divorce and everything settled out. So we did have a tough first few months. But Israel net once I saw that our life started to improve and he started to have more confidence in himself and really get into his acting and his life, just I was like, man, thank you God. Because Katie, think about it, to break a generation, this curse took generations to form.
It did. It did not happen overnight.
It did not happen overnight.
Oh my God. That's
So when you had asked me if I had any questions, I was like, nah. I was like, sis, I'm just here for your closure. My closure started in 2018. And that's when I had started going to therapy, and I went through the divorce in 19, and just everything clean. Like you was saying that she said you left her alone when she was about to die. No, you did. She's lying.
I
She's such a
did. She
liar.
didn't know that's a lie. She told me all this came on her when she was about to die. That's a lie.
That's a lie.
When you were about
she was living with you.
When she got sick, she was living with me. When I was back in Arkansas in my house.
I remember our brother coming in town and staying with me in Maumelle. Remember?
Yeah.
He flew in and
was in the hospital.
And
Remember?
you, thank you. She was in the hospital, but at that time she was staying with you.
Thank you, Kenya.
She's such a lie, but Katie, that's what narcissists do.
But how in the heck can you lie? And I was there.
Doesn't matter.
This
Katie,
is astonishing.
Katie, I hate to reference, because everybody I see now reference the Cat Williams interview. But Katie, that's what they do. They try to create their own narrative and just change the truth to fit them. Because I'm not a victim. Yeah, boo. She was always the biggest victim. Do you know?
Oh my God, she was always the biggest victim. She's a professional victim. Which gets me, let me get off into these questions.
Okay.
Which gets me off into the first question. How was your relationship with Granny, with your mother? As you can remember, Kenya, ever since I can remember, she always talked about how bad of a person Granny was. But why every time school started back, why Granny was the one who sent us to school?
And Katie, remember,
for all 4 of your children.
And remember,
we start working.
Remember, Katie, when I told you that, when it made me jog my memory, when one of my close friends who was 10 years, 11 years older than me had talked about how they never had school clothes, how poor they was, and their mom did the best she could. They never had school clothes because their grandmother, no one. And I thought about it. I was like, if our grandmother wouldn't have brought us school clothes, we would have been the same way. We would have been until we were able to work. Because that's the thing. We started working early. We started the JTPA thing. I started working.
They don't have it no more.
No, but we started working
when we was 14. All of us.
All of us. But you got to think, Katie, that was only summer money. That JTPA was only summer money.
Yeah.
That summer money and you being able to buy your own school. Because you're right. Granny Katie Rome's, God rest her soul. And I even came to grips and closure with our relationship because even before she passed away, it had been years since I had saw or talked to her. I didn't go to attend her funeral. So
the last time you spoke with her, let's get it all out. The last time you spoke with your grandmother, God rest her soul, she passed December 4th, 2022. What was that conversation like? The last time you decided to walk away from her?
It was after everything had went down with me and my ex-husband, my third husband. It was, let's say, around June of 19. I can't remember the dates and all that, but anyway, I want to say it was like a few months after that. Let's say it was maybe August of September 19. Granny called me and I could tell, no, it had to be, it was before me and him went to court for that last time. So it had to be August because we went to court for the last time in September, and it took his lawyer and them like 30 some days for some reason to get the paperwork to the judge because the clerk kept sending emails like, hey, when y'all gonna send this, the signed paper? We're like, we sent him. You need to ask the plaintiff. I'm the defendant.
The person who filed the divorce.
Right, sis. He filed for the divorce. Go look it up. It's public record. I was like, and I was thinking the same thing. Like, dang, why? Because usually in my prior 2 divorces, before him, I have the paperwork and everything signed before we leave that day, and it be in the paper the next day. Granted, divorces,
Yeah.
Kenya. So, but it took like 30 days. But anyway, it was. I remember it was before we went to court. She had called me, and it was just something in her voice. I don't know what it was, but the whole thing had a mysterious. I never knew what it was because everything that was revealed to me and how they revealed themselves, like even my former friends that were around me at the time that I don't fool, because I don't fool with anyone in Arkansas now. But even with that, at that time, starting from 18 when I left Diane alone to 19 when I left everyone else alone to even 2020 to 2021 when I left my so-called friends alone. Um, it was just the way people were being revealed to me, Katie. It wasn't no fakeness to it. Like how Christy was looking at me at that table, like, Katie,
Oh yeah.
everyone's energy towards me was like Christy's energy. Like it was blatant. It was like no guessing. That's how Granny sounded on the phone that day. But when she said this, the only thing I remember in the conversation
What was
is
it she
when
said?
she said she saved her prayers for her real family. Girl, I lost it.
Oh
Girl,
my.
I let her have
Oh
it.
wow.
I'm not gonna lie,
She
sis.
saved her prayers. A grandmother told her grandchild that she saved her prayers for her real family.
And that's
And
why I
keep
never
in
talked to her
mind,
again. And I don't know if she was in her right mind. I'm gonna say that because all I'm gonna say is growing up, if it was not for her, we wouldn't have had school closed.
we wouldn't
So
have had
like I told you and my brother Jermaine, because y'all are the only siblings that I talked to. Um, what she did for us outweighs
the
how
bad.
we ended.
Yeah. The
So I do,
when it comes to Granny, the good did outweigh the bad.
yeah. So I
And I'm
tried.
gonna say this, sis. I'm gonna say this. I feel the same way. What she did, the good did outweigh the bad. But when you told me what she said, that she saves her prayers for her real family, I not one time argue with you.
Do you know, Katie, I've told you, and I've told you this before, when I told each and every one of my siblings what was said, none of y'all called me a lie because you got to think my ex-husband CJ, that's what the narrative he was putting out about me, that I'm this delusional liar. That's what him and Diane concocted together. And I know we'll get to that later on how I know what she did. But the thing about it is none of y'all told me I was lying. And that really surprised me. You know what I'm saying? That really, I was like, damn, why they didn't, like why they didn't question me? Why they
And
took
you
my,
know why?
yeah,
As
y'all,
far as me,
each and every one of you gave me your own individual. You can give your individual reason on why you didn't call me a lie. But each
I'm
one
gonna
of
tell
you,
you this. I'm gonna tell you this, and I remember this, and I was maybe around 7, because I can remember it was like after we left Hensley and moved to North Little Rock. And I think this was around the time when my auntie Tony was about to marry my uncle Daryl. And his family met up at my grandmother's house, to meet each other and have their greetings. My grandmother did not want us to come over there. So she gave my mother money so she could buy some food
I
to make
remember
us
that.
like a Thanksgiving meal
I was in the
because
seventh grade. I remember that
she did not want us to come over there.
because we were so dusty.
We were so
And
dusty.
don't get me wrong, I get that she was because they were fun people anyway. That's why it was so easy for me to leave them because I
But
was
this is what I thought too, Kenya. Yeah, hold that thought. Hold that thought. This is what I thought. You would rather give her money to go buy food
didn't
than
fix us
to give
up.
her money to go get outfits so we could not look dusty. So you didn't want us around in that family setting at all.
So that's why you didn't argue with me. That's why you didn't question me.
That's why.
Okay.
And
Okay.
every time I brought my children around, Daryl or somebody had some backward stuff to say as soon as we walked through the door.
And the
As soon as
thing
we walked
about
through
it,
the door, they purposely made me feel uncomfortable.
and the thing
Why
about
would I go around it?
the
I
thing
don't give
about
a damn how
Daryl,
good your food is. Why would I go around it?
I agree.
Anywhere where my kids don't feel, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Anywhere where my kids don't feel comfortable, I'm not going. Go ahead, sis.
Hold on, Katie. Hold on. Okay. Going back to Daryl, you right, because I have in my own, I with my own, and this was the old me who wasn't as family oriented, because now I only have 2 or 3 family members left that I deal with. So I
Me too.
cherish that. So now that I look back on what love is and family love is, because we never grew up around it, so we never quite knew what it was. That's why I tell my friend here, Shimon, so much how much I love it, because they don't have a big family, because they migrated here from Jamaica. So the rest, most of their family is back home. It's just the immediate mommy, daddy, siblings, grandma, like very small family. So they look, but Katie, I've heard Daryl say that your kids is gonna end up in penitentiary, and his son DJ scammed the government, and he ended up in prison.
$100,000.
And he ended up in prison.
And
So
he ended up in prison.
before
And you
yours,
a whole preacher. And you put jail on my kids. And look how it turned around and backfired on you. Now you're
thank you.
fighting cases over there because you scammed disability. And this ain't finna be no lawsuit or no defamation, because it's on paper.
It's on paper. That's what I told you before any of this. I let you know that, hey, if I come on, since Diane pulled out, I let you know that this is all factual. Anything I say,
everything is facts.
anybody name I mention, it's legal. You can go on the court website, Pulaski County Court Doc, and you can look all these cases up, and you'll be like, oh, okay, so they can't sue them because it's right here. Okay, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I see they did go to court for the last time on September whatever, and it took 30 some days for the papers to be finalized. Like anything I say, Daryl, anything I say about
it's
in the paperwork.
You know what I said? How they try to sit up and put single mothers down and say our kid's going to end up in prison. That's a whole 2-parent home. That's
a good one.
Home. And the daddy scammed disability, and the son scam. What was that? He forged some doctor's signatures, said he was a witness to a murder on a college campus.
Well, I don't think it was a murder. It was a cadet death. I don't necessarily know how the cadet died.
Kind of shooting.
Yeah, it was for West Point. It's in the paperwork because he got sentenced to Fed time over it. He got to pay restitution and things like that. But it was the fact that, dang, your child grew up in the ideal. I'm not going to say the home.
In the whole prison plan that you put on my children didn't happen. My children are doing awesome.
That's why I wanted Israel away from those people. I knew I had lost my daughter. I was not going to lose my son. I was going to break this generational curse, leave these people alone, and let my son flourish and thrive and be artistic, be the artist that he has always dreamt of being, chase his dreams properly without any kind of insults. Just, I knew that I had to get away from it. And Katie, every day I thank God that I did. Like, I thank you that I followed the plan that you set forth, because Katie, it took a lot of courage to walk away, because at any time I could have stayed with that last guy. Y'all don't realize that, like, Dara, whatever, wanted to say whatever she was saying on Facebook, boo, 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 boo. No, boo, boo. If you only knew the facts, I could have stayed with dude.
If she only knew.
But I didn't even want to argue any of that, because I don't care. I've healed and I've moved on, and y'all mean absolutely nothing to me now. None of you all. But I told you, Katie, I would be here for your healing process, and that's what you know what I'm saying. But I'm off today, sis, so I'm gonna have to get on, because me and my husband gonna do some stuff today.
Yes.
But I'm
thank you so much for coming on.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay. I'll see you later. We'll talk later. Okay, so I wanted to get off into the questions that I wanted to ask my mother, but she's not here. So here we go. My second question is, if my grandmother was so bad, why did you always have your kids around her in that environment where you claim your mother didn't like you or didn't love you? My other question is, how was your relationship with my dad? There were, like I always know with every story, it's her side, it's his side, and then it's the truth. A lot of things she told me about my dad really didn't add up. They divorced when I was 2 years old. My other question is, after the divorce, why did you have random men around your small children so quickly? That was a big question right there. Another question is, you always spoke so openly about when you were 19. Keep in mind, she didn't have my oldest brother. She didn't have him until she was, I think, 20 or 21. So she openly spoke about her life when she was doing prostitution back when she was 19 years old, way before she became a mother. She spoke so openly about it, and she said the reason she used to talk to us about her prostitution is because she didn't want it to be a surprise if people in the streets talked about it around us. So that's why she said she talked about it. But I was wondering why she was never open like that when it came to her drug habit. Because she had a drug habit that she was never honest about. And we always wondered why bills weren't getting paid, why she never had money to send us back to school. And we had to fall on my grandmother to send us back to school. So the drug habit I heard about. I actually heard people say things about my mother being on drugs. So with you talking about the prostitution thing, I never heard anybody say anything about the prostitution thing, about you being in the streets. But I heard about you being on drugs though. And you never was honest about that. My other question is, back in 2018, when you say everybody left you high and dry when you were about to die, but you were living with me, when the doctor brought you out to say your last words to me before he went into surgery, why did you say, if I die, don't tell nobody? She said, if she die, don't tell nobody. I just wanted to know, why did she say that? But she's not here, so I'm just laying all this out. The next question is, why did you send text messages over to CJ? This is my sister's third husband. She sent text messages over to CJ so CJ could try to get my sister admitted into some kind of place. She sent text messages over to him to assist him into getting my sister locked away. And this is after she haven't even had a relationship with my sister after my sister left her alone for like a whole year. So, other question is, if if my granny, my grandmother Katie, was such a bad mother as you claim, then why didn't you work harder to be a better mother to your children? My other question, back in 2019, before me and my mother cut ties, the question I asked my mother is, if you could go back, I know we cannot rewind time. Okay, I understand and I know that. If you could go back and change or stop any of the situations that happened to your children, as far as the man that you brought around, if you could stop any of those situations, is there anything you would have stopped? Is there anything you would have did different? And she said no. What was I supposed to do? Let your MF and A starve? She said no, she wouldn't have changed anything when it came to, she wouldn't have changed nothing when it came to the things that were done to her kids. As far as the SA, everything that happened to her kids that was committed by the man that she brought around, she said she wouldn't have changed anything. And a big reason why I cut ties to stop dealing with her, because after she said that, that made me feel like she purposely set us up and put us out there to be SA, to be abused. I really felt like she set us up and used us as bait for these perverted men. That's how I felt, and that's why I cut ties with her back in 2019. And then another thing, my sister already mentioned that when she ended up choosing the guy that got out of prison over my sister, when my sister told him about, my sister told her about what he did to her when she was 6, and she chose him. When they broke up, and my sister moved out of my grandmother's house and came back home, my mother said, "Oh, I was just horny. That's all. I was just horny." Like, do you really think she felt like that was an apology? And then I just had to come to the conclusion that in order to really break generational curses, you have to get away from those toxic family members. Walk away and don't look back. And another thing that the last question that I wanted to ask her was, I can remember back when I was younger, I can remember her talking to friends and saying this to a lot of people. Before my mother died, she's going to have to apologize to me. Before my mother dies, she's going to have to be held accountable for what she's done to me. And I was just wondering, why is it that right before my grandmother died and she wanted you to come by her house, why didn't you go? If you feel like she owed you an apology, why you did not go when my grandmother was on her dying bed calling out for your name? Let her tell it. She was on pain medicine. It was raining outside and she couldn't go. So the person that you said owe you an apology, and you've been saying this all of your life, that she owe you an apology when she was actually on her dying bed, you did not show up because in your little sick way, you wanted her to suffer her last few moments on the earth. That's why. But you know what? This is like an altar for me, and I am laying all this down, and I am moving forward from here. It's nothing but the top from here. And another question that I did have for her is that since she's been out here in Las Vegas, she came out here exactly a year after I did. I came out here in 22, May of 22. She made it out here May of 23. You have not attempted to come by here and see your grandchildren. Like I say, my kids got their own phones. They got their own life. You haven't attempted to come by here and see your grandkids in a whole year that you've been out here in Las Vegas. You moved all the way from Arkansas out here to Las Vegas claiming that you want a whole relationship with your grandchildren and you want to rekindle a relationship with me, but you have not came out here in a whole year. The last time I seen you was when you moved out here, May of 2023, and I have not seen you since. Why? Did you really come out here for that, or did you come out here to make it convenient for the married men that you're messing with? Made it convenient so you could be a mistress instead of rebuilding and rekindling a relationship with your children. You can continue to chase the shaky foundations of those men that you've been running after the whole time you've been raising kids. Your whole life has always been about a man. The same men who are going to leave you high and dry at the end. And then you're going to be reaching out to your kids at the end, and they're not going to be there. Because you said, I can go ahead and move on, and you have the relationships with the people that you have a relationship with, and that's all you need. So I'm going to let you have that, and I have my peace, and I have my healing. And I'm moving on from here. There's nothing else to be said. And yeah, this is about it. We're about at 50 minutes. And I'm checking out. This is it. So I got all my questions out and I feel so much better. And I'm so glad I got through this whole live and like didn't cry or nothing because I know after the situation, after she said she wasn't coming, I cried a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. But you know what? I feel so much better. And this is the perfect step for me to start my healing. But like I said, in order to break those generational curses, you're gonna have to get away from those toxic family members and just protect you, protect your peace, protect your children peace. And that's all I gotta say. And I'm signing out with much love. Katie Talk 101. Thank y'all for tuning in.